The mood in the company was mixed as they set out. Most of them had seen dozens of missions that began like this one. They all started the same: a track, a hint, a trail to follow. It was how these missions ended that varied. Sometimes they led to nothing, such as an abandoned goblin camp with tracks breaking off in too many directions to pursue. Other times, they led to conflict, and more often than not, those conflicts ended bloody. On such missions, the company would set out, looking for their enemy, and that was exactly what they would find. This is what the Legion's 6-year campaign to stabilize Cooranna had become, a prolonged hunt for an enemy that, as best they could tell, had no true centralized leadership. As Faylor had said, they weren't from the north. The Legion wasn't from Cooranna. They had been called in after this conflict had begun to re-establish order and bring an end to the bloodshed. The small northern continent was in fact primarily dwarven. Mountain dwarves, the Brovasha Karsh, made up the majority, with over 24 mighty stone bastions spread out beneath the tall peaks of the Cooranna. There was a less sizable, but still significant population of hill dwarves, the Doru Karsh, as well. These slightly narrower-framed and less long-lived cousins to the mountain dwarves had always struggled to eke out a living in the frozen foothills beyond the stony doors of mighty halls that were not their own. As such, decades passed when new hordes of goblins had begun to emerge from beneath the mountains, and even from within hill-dwarven mines concealed beneath the foothills. Most had expected that the already struggling population of the Doru would be pushed past the brink. They were wrong. The hill dwarves had flourished with the coming of the Deep Ones, while the rest of Cooranna had burned. Over the previous centuries, many smaller settlements of elves and men had popped up across Cooranna, drawn in by the dwarven trade. The mountain dwarves commanded the peaks. The hill dwarves survived in the foothills, but the sheltered valleys, the deep forests, the wide basins and jagged coastlines of Cooranna had all gone largely unpopulated for eons. It was to these places that men and elves had started to settle, their villages gradually growing to towns, and some towns blossoming into true cities. With the rise of the Deep Ones, goblins and trolls had descended on these places, bringing with them goblin fire that burned even on the wettest wood. Worse yet, they were armed with something no one had expected: dwarven steel.